Z from Zombies Dirty World CLOCKTIME2. Any dirty thing that looks like a real dirty thing is just another dirty coincidence. After returning from the small town of El Peligro, that research mission in the past, RHYNNA and I spent several days in Silas Hills, in the complex of the Department of Analysis. After long dialogues with human experts and the artificial intelligence, Mental came to the conclusion that the causes were related to the abuse of toxic substances contaminated with microorganisms with traces of genetic editing. Certain viruses and bacteria designed to annihilate the areas of the human brain that govern consciousness. We knew from reference data that although found on corrupt servers and corrupt hard drives over the centuries, there had been manufacture of artificial diseases to be used as weapons, and in certain cases, as a business to sell cures or supposed cures. If we already know what the self-replicant is that kills parts of the brain and turns humans into zombie idiots only, Mental, why do they want to send us back to the past? The risk that we make a change in the continuity of time, and that it is greater than 1, can be exponentially multiplied. I told Menthol without having made a miserable calculation of what I was exposing. For a moment I thought Mental was laughing at my. Even advanced artificial intelligence can have a sense of humor, right? Sometimes, I imagine they laugh at us for our limitations. But, who knows? It's the most advanced machine and we consider it a non-human person capable of evaluating more layers of physical and theoretical reality that are beyond our capabilities. Mental may have processed all the information and found a variety of possible action paths that we had not considered. After all, he is always able to surprise us. There are still variants of the original infections reappearing in random patterns, and what remains of humanity remains at risk of extinction. In the greater and greater the angles of approach on the characteristics of infections, greater would be the chances of containment, Mental said. It was a few centuries ago that the zombie cataclysm had destroyed the civilization of that time, and of the few human groups that managed to survive, very few of them and developed technologies of the next generation. The few and desperate people who settled in La Rosa Buena, an abandoned country hotel, demonstrated their ability to survive in an organized community by developing technologies from debris remains and refactions recovered in successive exploration until the Vigilants, who were groups of volunteers organized to cover human safety, and, from reviews in the ruins of various abandoned cities, discovered the lonely buildings of Silas Hills, where they met with the artificial intelligence. Mental, who, in isolation had survived with the few resources of old solar panels and the assistance of human robot sides deteriorated by time. The partnership of the humans of La Rosa Buena with the artificial intelligence Mental of Silas Hills, gave a boost to development and in a few generations achieved unexpected achievements for humans and a healthier and more balanced way of life. But even exploration drones continued to find infected in unexpected places, and there were still outbreaks of zombie infection among communities. Then, said RHYNNA, what is the next approach that is planned? Miss Bayalenta Laura Miyamoto of the Department of Analysis replied, in a tone between serious and a simulation of classical formality, RHYNNA, you and Coulson, if you too, COL, said Mia referring to me, and barely pointing to me with one finger, you two have done great work together, and have had better results than the other pairs of researchers that we sent to the same dates. We already have 2 main bases of new data analysis. While Mia was making her well-founded explanation, I looked at the humanoid bot with the personality of Menthol. The fraction of personality he showed towards us seemed invisible, but there were subtle variations in the reflections of his eyelashes, was active, very active. And if Mia had said 2 main analysis bases, I thought that Mental must be on a myriad of possibilities beyond what we were told at the time. Thanks to the spectrographs that you and the other teams have highlighted in your areas and research moments, we have identified the chemical elements of the ghoul pathogens, but the spectrographs as fixed images only show inert elements. Now we need active samples of the original auto-replicants. Mental continued with a synchronization that didn't seem to be an interruption. Most of my databases at that time were not on my local servers, they were stored in an external set that fell down due to lack of maintenance. Complementing databases is a task that you will have to keep up to date. We will provide you with all possible resources for this investigation. Where and when is this project aimed? I asked naturally. Mia with a half smile said, you have already experienced firsthand the disfaces of the historical record with respect to the real events. RHYNNA sighed with a movement of her beautiful blue eyes, and I said, yes, I think so. According to the timetable adjusted to the historical record, there were 36 hours left for the first recorded case when the village of the danger and that refugee camp were already completely invaded. We all speculated that there would have been some unrecorded initial cases, Mia said, but considering the political region where you got stuck, now we know what to stick to and we will take more precautions. Yes, better than yes, I replied, for if it hadn't been for RHYNNA's idea of making these homemade laser projectors, we would have had to face the ghouls with sticks and stones. RHYNNA made an indescribable facial expression. This time you will bring more complete equipment and improvement that we developed with mental, said Miyamoto with all equanimity, and now go take a break and come back in a couple of days to familiarize yourself with the new equipment, have fun and relax. RHYNNA and I took a few days of rest at the La Rosabuena, and before we relaxed and rested, we had fun between us two alone many times and in these positions and techniques of fun. With a long sigh after her agitated breath, with her head on the pillow and staring towards the ceiling, RHYNNA said among smiles, if we keep this pace, I think I will be a mom. After so many intense, extremely intense interpersonal moments, really if we deserved a rest, tensions had been eased, we had seen the poverty, corruption and human misery of that world of the past, governed by rich, corrupt and indifferent leaders and authorities, and the threat of ghoul. And now we were going back there. RHYNNA and I, we returned with all the freshness to Silas Hills, presented ourselves when we were quoted in the areas attached to the technical workshops dubbed the Tech Temples, an import of La Rosabuena. The technicians in partnership with Mental, had improved the integrated systems that we would take to the furtive research mission in the past, asked us to remove all the clothes to generate digitized models of the whole body of us too, including faces and skulls, while the chief technical, Carlos, showed us on a screen naked human figures explaining to us that they were actually a new class of armor with various technical capabilities in their integrated system, and its appearance of human skin that adheres to the body protecting 99% of the surface. Nobody ever developed this technology, said the chief technician proudly, and as recalling something he added, at least, not as we know. Concluding with some degrees of humility. The next thing they showed us were the optical audio implants for interface with which we could get rid of screens and other devices. The new integrated elements were designed based on the nervous system and were very intuitive to facilitate action. Before I did the first tests, I was impressed to see a replica of my body, which seemed to be standing, sleeping, and I'm sure more than one of the technicians, besides me, lost our eyes to see the replication of RHYNNA's full body naked skin. We had some trouble to put the skins on the skin until they became more elastic at the temperature of the body, and after I had finished weighing my first 20 fingers, fortunately, out of the sight of the technicians, RHYNNA helped me weigh the part I was missing. Thank you, RHYNNA, I said. I don't know if I could have done it without your help. I only protect my interests, COL, said RHYNNA with a grim smile, and more relaxed and immersed in our new skins, we presented ourselves before the chief technician. We were still naked in appearance. This weighs a some so pounds, I said to the chief technician, who replied, it will be no more than the weight of winter clothes, they will get used to. And we started various interactive operation tests for a few days until we got used to and we were classified fit to perform activities. And in the meetings with Mental and the analysts, the talks about the physical destiny of the mission, the time point of arrival and the main and secondary objectives. It was one of the main cities and of the most populous up to that time. They should avoid the hours of the greatest movement of people and reduce to a minimum and whenever possible to zero, interactions with the temporary natives, even within the roles that they will carry. And so we left, wearing the same casual clothes and backpacks that we used in the village of El Peligro on the same dates. The transport vehicle took us to the surface coordinates looking for the highest point in the outskirts of some ruins that still stood out between the frond. We said goodbye to the pilot and the analytical assistant who prepared a backup drone. The city unfolded before us among hundreds of nearby lights and thousand lights further away. It was a warm night and the air smelled dirty.